Good afternoon, please, Veronica, Mariona, Sanz, if you can come up to the stage. We have a round panel to continue talking about the B30 territory. Now there's gender equality at the table. Good afternoon. It is a pleasure and I'm very excited to be moderating this panel because in a way it allows us to talk about a series of initiatives that are being carried out in the past few years in the B30 area, and of course the university, the Catalan government, the town councils, other actors of the area have collaborated, have worked together with different approaches and methodologies than we're used to. And we can say that the SeeRRI project has been a catalyst that has allowed us to explore and experiment with different methods, different ways of collaborating in order to build a research and innovation ecosystem that is more sustainable, more responsible, oriented towards addressing the challenges that we're more concerned about in society, the challenges that people who live and work in the area are most concerned about, and to do so with the protagonists, with the stakeholders. Responsible research and innovation, we like to describe it as research and innovation that is done with society and for society. And in a context such as the current one, this means that research and innovation must be transformative, as we said before. They have to aspire to changing production systems, changing consumption systems, to changing value chains, and they should aspire to promoting new business model oriented towards generating shared value, economic, social, and environmental, which is so important for the territory. And for that to happen, and as we've seen throughout the session today, it is essential that the stakeholders of the research and innovation ecosystem take on and work on shared challenges and to develop shared agendas to address these challenges. Without this coordinated action of the different stakeholders, without a shared understanding of the challenges, it is very difficult to transform anything. So in the framework of the SeeRRI project, we have located 3 determining factors so that stakeholders can work together to address challenges. What we have seen is that the ecosystem must have a governance, a participative governance model. As we've seen, the B30 territory has gone for creating a participative governance model where the actors can meet to work and develop these shared visions and this shared understanding of the challenges that concern people in the territory. And also in order to define future views of the shared views of the future, we want to work together to get somewhere. We also need to support the public policies for research and innovation that are responsible and transformative. And so the bodies that make the public calls have to promote this type of public calls. And we've seen that universities have a central role in order to promote this transition and this change and this transformation of the territory. It is very important for universities to work together with businesses, municipalities, and different stakeholders of the territory, and of course the citizens, which in the end are part of all institutions. So in this panel, we will talk about all of this. And in order to do that, we have some of the main leads of the territory. We heard from the rector of the Autonomous University of Barcelona, Javier Lafuente. We also have Josep Monràs, president of B30 Association and mayor of Mollet del Vallès. We also have Mariona Sanz, who is director general of European funds of the Catalan government. And we also have Veronica Kuchinov, who is an expert on many things, but also an entrepreneur, a transformer, an expert in industrial symbiosis, and one of those entrepreneurs that we need in the territory in order to transform it. The way this will work will be we will ask a question to each speaker. You'll have 7 minutes to answer. We will keep track of the time for things to be smoother, and at the end we will have another round in which there will be free comments in case you want to answer to what other speakers have said. We will start with Javier Lafuente, rector of the Autonomous University of Barcelona. He was the main partner of the SeeRRI project from Catalonia. And the question would be, the Autonomous University as a main actor of the B30 territory for research and innovation, what's its role, or what does it want its role to be to contribute to more sustainable and responsible research and innovation? This is the question that I would like to ask you. Yes, this is the million-dollar question. I was trying to say it earlier. We believe we are public universities, so we are at the service of the university to help, to change, to act. And we have tried, or we're trying, to leave aside the historic systems. I'm talking a bit about the problems or the paradigm shift of the situation. In a university, you strive for excellence, being better than, being different from. And I think what has been more difficult and what we're trying to do is to become just one more stakeholder, to add up, opening up, sharing, being at the service of, being available to. I'm trying to be as positive as possible because I think we need a new model of territorial research and development, and I think this is research and innovation. I think this is a big challenge that's coming. We need to be a university with research and innovation and transfer knowledge done internationally, but we need a territorial impact, which I think is something that had not been done before. And around us, there was a whole world, and I think things have changed. We are now in a territory, we know there are citizens that we need to serve, and when researchers think of doing research, they need to think and know that this research has to, in the end, reach certain people, certain institutions. But we also need to make citizens and businesses locate us, because sometimes the problem was a lack of connection. A new business that was created or that needed aid, development, a challenge, they could not find who they had to talk to. So we need to minimize the value of papers at a high level, and we need to attach value to results and changes and the people who we need to place at the center of our goals, and this personal impact. And this is why I talk about the territory. But it's also important, and this is important with SeeRRI, we need to work on different territorial areas that can collaborate and work together. And I don't want to speak any longer. Perfect, Javier. It is a pleasure to hear a rector of such an important university talking about the importance of the university in terms of opening up to society and working with the stakeholders of the territory and inviting stakeholders to work with them. In this regard, I should congratulate you for the transformation you've been carrying out during the past few years. We'll continue with Josep Monraz, President of the B30 Association and Mayor of Mollet del Vallès. Governance of innovation ecosystems is a challenge in all territories, and especially in territories that do not constitute an administrative unit, such as the B30. And as we've seen before in the video, and as they said, the B30 Association is made up of 53 organizations from 23 municipalities that collaborate so that this territory can be consolidated as economic and industrial engine of Catalonia, but also the south of Europe. So the question in this case, I would like to focus it on the collaboration of town councils with the university to address the challenges of the territory. And maybe I would like to ask you to talk about the collaboration of the Mollet Town Council with the Autonomous University of Barcelona in the framework of the project for the specialization and competitiveness of the territory, which is a project that is funded by FEDER call, a regional call, but also very much linked to the SeeRRI project. Here we see a case of synergies of a European project with a more regional project funded also with European funds, which is the PEC of the B30 Hub, where the Mollet Town Council is collaborating with the Autonomous University. And, well, just if you could give us some thoughts about that. What time do we finish? No, just kidding. Javier also said this. We are working in a process of listening to our citizens. And I'll talk about Mollet and Sardanyola. We are both together in the same project, together with other organizations, Autonomous University, SeeRRI University, etc. In a project of zero waste, sustainability, we, not just the town councils, we don't only have students or citizens who move around the territory and go to the Autonomous University. At the Autonomous University, there are people with expertise, with the capacity to propose innovations. We're a public service to society, and this is the way it should be. It is essential. The role of the university in this possibility of innovation is essential. Listening to citizens, their problems, their challenges. I'll give an example, and please don't be mad at me, but now Barcelona is going through an experience of waste collection, very conflictive, very problematic. And I honestly believe, for two reasons, well, several reasons. I think this is due to several reasons. Maybe it's because there has not been a process of explaining these goals in a way people can understand, not in the language that sometimes we use and that citizens do not fully understand. And this is generating a lot of problems. And secondly, waste. A while ago, people from other countries who are here with us probably did not have this role in their municipalities, but here there was a role which was, and I apologize to the interpreter because it's a very specific word, a person who went home by home, door by door, collecting bottles, paper, and they would pay you an amount of money based on the kilos or the amount of bottles that they picked up. And I saw this as a child, but this has changed now. What happens with waste? We need to facilitate, and this is what maybe has not happened. We need to facilitate this these to citizens. Citizens should manage it, but we should facilitate it. How can we ask citizens to have 6 or 7 bins, recycling bins, in a 40 square meter apartment? How do we manage that? So we need a reflection process. We need to have people who, based on their expertise, can make proposals and connect them to citizens, not documents or books. We need actions. We need realities, tangible realities, because we continue to have a problem with waste. And with waste, and what Javier said earlier as well, we are orphans of this experience. So we can resort to a company, there are many, there are experts, or we can resort to a catalyst, and maybe we can try and find this complicity of the private sector to make proposals. The Town Council of Barcelona is making a process of participation as to how to make waste collection different, and then these will go through a reflection process, and then some proposals should come out of that. This is the citizen participation system. To listen, reflect, and act. No more documents. People are tired of documents. And finally, the university also has a very significant role in one thing, which is SMEs. Large companies already have their research and innovation centers, but sometimes SMEs do not have this capacity, and they need to know that the catalyst, in this case of the university, can help them find solutions that it might be very difficult for them to find themselves. And finally, and I will finish to stick to the time given to me, we need to facilitate. Waste now is shared. You need to go to the bins, and I do my job well, but my neighbor doesn't, and we're all charged the same amount. And we're charged more every year. We pay more every year. And they tell us now that we need to bring down a bag of a different color every day. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but can we think of measures to facilitate these for citizens who are trying to find jobs, who are trying to bring their families and their personal projects forward? Let's try and help them. And Javier said something very interesting. Oftentimes we try and find solutions for the end of the process. Shouldn't we try and start finding solutions for the beginning of the process? So that we do not have in the shelves of the supermarkets products with a packaging that is difficult to recycle? This would be facilitating waste management for citizens. But this is not done when citizens go through the register at the store. No, it should happen before. We should change production and use plastics that can decompose, for example, after a certain amount of hours. I'm not a specialist, I don't know. But this is the idea, and this is what we're doing in this project with European funds, together with Cerdanyola. The Mulet Town Council is participating with other partners, with a small hub led by the Autonomous University of Barcelona, and they are, leading us. They're not telling us what to do, they are helping us listen to the citizens of Minet. Thank you very much. I think this was very pertinent and interesting because it's an example and a definition of how town councils and policymakers understand research, responsible research and innovation, because oftentimes, especially in these projects of the European Union of R&I, we discuss for many hours, we talk about R&I, what it is, the dimensions, and it's all a big mess in the end. And he very well expressed what R&I should be: university working with the stakeholders of the territory to address day-to-day problems of citizens. And in this regard, this example that he gave of waste management is a very beautiful example, because on top of that, we are collaborating with the Transform project. Here we have Diana, Marcia, etc. of the Transform project, and Mollet is participating in a pilot of this project of citizen science, because citizen science is a tool that can be very powerful in order to engage citizens in these processes of definition of policies, public policies, in a different manner. And here, the university has work to do. It should think about how R&I and citizen science can be a tool to facilitate this participation of citizens, not only in science, but also in the improvement of public policies and the acceptance of the solutions that we must all develop together. Next up, we have Mariona Sanz, Director General of European Funds of the Catalan Government. And the question, as couldn't be any other way, is how do European funds contribute to creating these research and innovation ecosystems in a more efficient manner when addressing the needs of the people in the territory? Because this unit of European funds of the Catalan government is a unit responsible for managing the FEDER and also the management for recovery and resilience. Thank you, Mariona. Thank you very much, Tatiana, and thank you for inviting me to this session. I'm happy that there are so many experts here together, and I'm sure good conclusions will come out of this. And the question is complex, but I think European funds, what have they contributed in? I think they contribute in two ways. One, they are a source of inspiration for public policies. They anticipate needs that they tackle in an innovative manner, establishing good practices that then other levels of the administration end up applying more or less in a greater or lesser degree. And from the point of view of the policymakers, European programs, the way things are done in European programs has inspired many of the local policies. In this case, public-private partnership and the creation of research and innovation ecosystems that require public-private partnership, and there is a clear barrier in them, which is the market barrier. And European policies have contributed to breaking this market barrier, contributing a different way of doing things and supporting that. An example, of course, would be this territory, specifically B30. Many things have happened that probably wouldn't have happened if there hadn't been any European funds. And I'm talking about, for example, the European cohesion policy that has allowed for many of the infrastructures, basic infrastructures that we have in this territory. The research and innovation policy has contributed to competitive resources, to the development of projects of research and innovation. We are in an area, and I've been looking at the figures this morning, where there are 12% of the Horizon Europe research is coming to Catalonia. They are concentrated in the Vallès area. So the Vallès area is a very dynamic territory, as you may imagine, with the triple helix directly there. We have the academia, knowledge, technology. We have an industrial fabric with a long track record, and additionally a fabric of startups and technological spin-offs, which is very significant. And on the other hand, the support of the administration that we have seen in terms of infrastructures and support to universities such as others, the technological centers such as Eurecat, Leitat, and others. So resources coming from the European competitive funds have also been show of what's happening in this territory. And finally, from the point of view of the future, not only talking about the past, but also the present, of course. We've already heard about the PEP projects as an example of public-private partnership, and very deep-rooted in the territory, that comes from the needs of the territory itself, and that transforms the territory in a very different manner, because it uses research and innovation to transform the territory with things that up until now maybe hadn't happened. So, and they're happening because of these instruments. But vis-a-vis the future, we now have to face the idea of how we absorb the new generation funds and how the territory can make use of this opportunity from the point of view of transformation, not just recovery, which would mean covering shortcomings that the pandemic may have brought, but also transforming the areas in which we need a lot more competitiveness. And in this case, we are talking about sustainability and everything related to it. I think we have a very good foundation of work with all of the work in waste and industrial symbiosis, and also digitalization. And as of today, unfortunately, the territories do not yet have a voice in the management and decision-making for the development of these next generation funds. And I am stressing this on this panel because I think it's important. The funds are being deployed in a completely centralized manner and with programs that are decided upon from a ministerial office. So what we believe is that Transformation should come from local bodies and not from higher instances. And in this regard, I would like to stress here on this panel that we need to work together, we need to collaborate. And a final idea is that this collaboration that the director mentioned, and that is basic, in the end, contributes to creating stronger ecosystems. But in the end, ecosystems compete. We're competing against one another from the point of view of the ecosystem. We're competing with others, and this is a worldwide reality. Everyone knows where the powerful ecosystems are, and everyone wants to be there. And there is a struggle, a very important struggle currently, in order to attract talent, technology, knowledge. And if we do not build strong local ecosystems, we will not succeed. A local, powerful ecosystem means local collaboration. This is very important in order to compete at an international level. Thank you very much, Mariona. Everything you mentioned is very relevant because many European regions in this new period, we have the double challenge not only of managing regional funds, but also managing all of this huge amount of resources, the next generation. And as the director said, they are not managed from the regions or the territory. They are normally managed from central governments, by central governments, and oftentimes without bearing in mind all of these dynamics. In the end, it's like a contradiction. On the one hand, they tell us that, well, territory, citizens, everyone needs to participate, but in the end, the European Commission and European funds are managed in a very top-down manner. Sometimes favors large stakeholders and smaller stakeholders. Well, it's very difficult for them to access these European funds because of bureaucracy, fund management, but also because of the way in which codes are conceived. And well, this is a challenge, and we'll see how this evolves. And finally, we have here with us Veronica. She's co-founder and director of SeeRRI Industrial, a very active company that has collaborated with the SeeRRI project and many other initiatives of the B30 projects, Industrial Symbiosis projects. And in our conversations along this project, on many occasions, we spoke about the fact that a lack of a systemic vision of these challenges, of this green sustainable transition, this is one of the main obstacles to mobilize actors and resources, because it's interesting to mobilize stakeholders, but the resources should come along in order to execute projects of industrial symbiosis. So how do you think that European projects such as SeeRRI or others you are present in can help overcome this obstacle, this lack of systemic vision of these challenges? The systemic vision, as you said, Tatiana, is essential, is key. And it is something that is relatively new in the projects that we're carrying out. This vision of the territory, until recently, wasn't included in the mentalities of European projects. I remember the first call for European projects for circular economy. It was for companies, for businesses. And we had just run the pilot in Manresa of industrial symbiosis. And we said, well, let's make use of these calls. Let's try and see how we can fund the Manresa project. But there was no way to do it because it was conceived for businesses, for companies. And fortunately, this has changed, and in a very short time at that. And that's the way, not just for European projects, but for any sort of aid for the territory. We need help at all levels, training, companies, the region. But in the end, we need someone with this systemic vision. And European projects along these lines have evolved a lot. Actually now, not all of them, but the calls already conceived this systemic vision. Otherwise, you cannot even access them. And it should be at the center of all of this. It should be linked to territorial stakeholders. Otherwise, you will not be accepted. And you need to prove the role of each of them. They're all pieces of the puzzle, and this is one of the things that we learned in the B30 project with SeeRRI. First, you need to identify the challenge to develop. If you do not assign a goal, you will disperse. You need a goal that everyone can buy into. And then you need to develop it at different levels, political, technical, social, entrepreneurial, and in all sectors from agriculture, water management, politicians, etc. Along these lines, for example, the last call for European projects is called Industrial Urban Symbiosis. Wonderful. It is wonderful. Or the transition in cities, regions, and I don't remember, cities and regions. Just by hearing the names, the titles, you can already see that they're thinking this way. One of the things that these projects call for is, since they're systemic, we need to map. And this is in the roadmap of the SeeRRI, these maps for everything, which is something that we do not have, because now all of a sudden we want to be very systemic, but we do not have the necessary information to manage systemic information. Our administrations, especially the ones that manage the data that we need from the resources, for example, energy consumption, water, waste, transportation, all of this that was conceived separately, that now we need to do it all together to bring it back to the system. This is something that European projects are not yet asking for, but which is essential to map out. Without information, you cannot map. In terms of circular economy, they're asking us to manage the resources in a way in which they do not lose value as they circulate through the economy. So we need to manage these resources. How can we manage them without information? This is one of the things that indirectly lead the process. They're not saying we need to share this information yet in order to get aid, but I think it will come in time. And this is something, well, companies spend their time giving information about what they consume, what they need, what they contract their waste to different organizations within the public administration. So different levels of the public administration. So we need to be able to use this information to use it for the benefit of the companies and the territory. And the companies, the businesses are, well, everyone. They're more social, public, or rural ones. They are the foundation for development. And that's all I wanted to say. What she was saying is very important, because in the end we have many research and innovation projects in order to transform the territory, and the technological conclusions are there, but the hurdles are that we do not have the necessary data to be able to connect shared interests or supply and demand, or in order to generate these industrial symbiosis in so many areas. This is why it's so important for these projects of research and innovation to involve public administrations, because oftentimes we hear the people at the universities or the researchers complain about how difficult it is to work with the public administration. But if we want to transform the territory, then that's the only thing we can do. We need to collaborate. We're doing fine in terms of time. Now we will have a round of short comments based on what you heard or what other speakers inspired you. Just a short round now to finish. Javier. Yes, you know me well. You know I want to speak. In the end, we're moving towards a new paradigm, and I think it's time to do so. I think after the pandemic, I think this will help us accelerate this change. In order to reach solutions, we need to find integrated solutions. And we need to see how we go about this so that this famous quadruple helix. So we need to see We need to find the challenges. We need to define our joint challenges. That will be the ones that we will need to work on together as well. And what I said earlier, that we had to work on building trust for the past few years, I hope this trust will allow us to move to the next stage. And I give another example now. And I know Josep likes it as well. We're, for example, thinking of changing our training system now. We're thinking of university based on challenges, working in a joint manner so that society will send us their challenges and their needs. Sometimes we mistake problems or specific work for challenges. No, we need to find the big challenges and make our cooperative work available to society, our cooperative and transformative work that is done cross-sectionally and internationally. And I'm defining what I do, but I think this is the way to go. We need to be together. 6-7 universities have started working together to try and launch challenges or to work on challenges, to put them on the table, and then the citizens and researchers, who are in the end the same people, researchers or citizens, we work together to then give back to society. I think this paradigm will be a new way of working, and I think this is what SeeRRI is. Thank you very much. Javier, Josep, please. While you were talking, I was making notes of things that came to mind, not so much to answer you, but ideas that came to mind. So I'll give you a few brief ideas. First, there's an argument that we need to, I think we need to rule out from our personal, professional, and political lives. No more protagonism. The protagonist is the action in and of itself, the change in and of itself. It doesn't matter who presents it or who actually does it. This is something I wanted to say first. Second thing I wanted to say. Barcelona, in the end, is a shop window, which is wonderful, fantastic. As we had before, economic activity, work, innovation, research happens in these other areas, Vallès, Baix Llobregat. It happens in this territory, and Barcelona is just a shop window. But we need to take care of it to continue generating, and this happens in any territory of the world. This is an example that is good. Because I'm also trained in sport, and if you work on your body, and you exercise your body, if you exercise, your body will be stronger. If you don't exercise, your body will be weaker and weaker, and the moment you want to work on it, it will be very difficult. So the economic muscle, at least in Catalonia, our economic muscle is this territory. So we need to exercise it and make it work. And this way we'll be able to generate more activity, more jobs, more anything we want to talk about. So we need to go away from protagonism. Because the chairman is one person today and a different person tomorrow. But the action is really important. Some more things, a few more things. We need to think global, act locally, as we always hear. And from the offices of the Spanish government, they probably decide on where the funds go. But if you allow me, the town councils, we are the forgotten ones. We are neglected. I don't know if you agree. Well, autonomous communities as well, the regions as well. Yes, but the government will make agreements with the regions and town councils will not be included. We will not be there. But it doesn't matter. We will continue to work because we don't want to be the leads, the protagonists. We want to work for our citizens, that we have a duty towards. And when we we talked about waste, and I would also like to talk about mobility. There's an opportunity now with SEAT to create a specialized company with electrical batteries, but what's the use of them if we do not have our mobility network that running on electricity? What's the use of them if the communities of neighbors do not have the possibility to place connectors for their cars if they want to buy an electrical car, an electrical vehicle? We work on one thing but not the other. And in terms of waste and recycling, we also need to think about the final part of the project, of the process, because we need to create jobs, we need to create opportunities, we need to create new and different businesses. And if you allow me, in my humble opinion, this is and despite my age, this is a message for the youth. They have this opportunity to innovate. There is a space at the university so that they can propose innovative proposals to solve the problems that we have nowadays. And an important thing as well, and that's not look only towards European funds. Let's look up and think about what will happen the day after tomorrow, because otherwise we will be making a mistake. Thank you very much, Josep. Mariona? Yes, well, I feel I have to respond. Yes. Yes, sorry. The Resilience and Transformation Plan is conceived for the present, for today, because the funds have been concentrated on 3 years, and I think in 3 years, the way it has to be executed with this concentration of funds, I don't know if we will manage to make any transformations. What I've seen is, what was being done is, we're tackling endemic problems that, of course, due to the pandemic, are here, and so we can now act the way we acted before, with a ministerial logic, yes. And when I talk about this, I say it because we're not giving a voice to local administration and regional administration. That's a reality at the moment. We do not have a voice in governance. We just execute final parts of the program. And this is the way things are working at the moment. And it's a loss of opportunity, the opportunity to transform and project looking into the future. As the mayor said, that's the way things go. I'm still optimistic, though, and I think that it may well be that things will flow to where they should flow, and so that we'll be able to make good use of these funds and turn things around a bit. I think this may happen, but for now, this is the way it works. And vis-a-vis what Veronica said, Veronica, yes. I always have the feeling that the difficult part is when we go from pilot to industrial stages. When you do innovation in a company, the big challenge is going from the pilot, where you test technology that is already working, to actual industrialization. And what does this mean? True industrialization means that everything should be standardized and the market should buy it. Because in the end, well, this systemic perspective that we mentioned is essential. Otherwise, we cannot go up to the industrial scale. It's impossible. There is a hyperinflation of pilots, of different pilots, but actually going to the industrial scale with a project that is viable in the market and sustainable, this is the big difficulty we're facing in order to contribute to this transformation. And without that, things are very difficult. Well, I feel I've been mentioned as well, alluded to. Yes, that's the most difficult part. In the end, we do not need a pilot, we need many, many pilots, one after the other, until we learn. Because all of this is a process that is rather cultural than anything else. It is a way of changing the way we understand things, and so many things need to change. As you saw here, these are complex systems, and so many things need to change that one pilot is not enough. So we learn with one, we continue learning with the next, and there are more people involved in the third, the fourth, and in the end, after I don't know how long, there is a majority that where something has switched, and there's a change. It's a cultural change. It's not a change that happens overnight. It takes a long time. It takes many pilots. You end up saying, oh no, yet another pilot, but we need them. Because in the previous pilot, I switched. But we need for that person, that business owner, that mayor, they have not switched yet. Something hasn't clicked yet. And they need that other pilot. And yes, I am one of those who say, oh no, yet another pilot. But if each pilot means one more step, then that's good. That's a way to go. And what I wanted to stress now is this idea of learning in the B30 project. I think one of the big successes of all of this is that we have given a series of entities and businesses in the territory a challenge. They've been given a challenge, the Zero Waste Challenge. Simply by concentrating on one challenge, which is very broad because it can include many different things, but it means that everyone now is talking the same language, talking about the same thing, and it means everyone believes in it. And if you believe in it, there's more impact, everything becomes bigger, and this is precisely what we need in these cultural changes. This is precisely what we need. For things to really change, for this cultural change, which is what we actually think, we need projects such as the Zero Waste project of B30. If we don't do that, things will be difficult. I remember at the first circular hotspot I went to, I think it was in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, one of the things that all Catalan people were excited about back then was that everyone was talking about the same thing, circular economy, exchange. We went to the university, they were talking about the same thing. The king came and talked about the same thing. People at the airport, everyone was talking about the same thing. And this is happening here now, and it's so cool to see, and this is what territories need in order to move forward, to make headway. It can be, for example, door-by-door waste, or the batteries, everything in the end is connected. It is an excuse so that we can talk about the challenge and give a name to it and put all of our excitement into it. And I think in this B30 pilot, the cool thing was that everyone is linking the B30 challenge with zero waste. These two concepts are associated, and I would like to congratulate it, but I think, because I think this is a big success, I did not pay her to say these things. Thank you all very much. I would like to thank the four of you. And
only to say some words in English. We have seen that SeeRRI is about changing mindsets. And I like the idea of we need the stakeholders, that the actors move from an ecosystem awareness, thinking about the ego, because stakeholders is about what is your stake, no? You are thinking what are your interests. We need to move from this ecosystem awareness towards an ecosystem awareness, to focus on the challenges that really matter to us, not to focus on the actors, but on the challenges. And this is, I think, the main message from this table. Thank you.
No tant deixat parlar dels pilots?
No, però anava ja a atacar els pilots, però no. No, perquè és un sistema molt complex.
Sí, no?
Vinga, doncs. Molt bé, gràcies.
Bueno, estic d'acord, amb tu.
Well, hello, everybody.
May I have your attention, please?
Thank you.
May I have your attention, please? Thank you. A moment, please.
Yeah, thank you.
So just very few additional words that are preventing you to enjoy the coffee break and the poster session. So the idea of this poster session at the SeeRRI conference started from the acknowledgement that responsible research innovation is embedded in many different experiences in several territories that are currently implementing different experiences, actions, and so on, but they simply may call what they are doing in a different way. So we decided to launch the call for poster last June. We received 18 abstracts, 16 posters in total, and we welcome also some pitch videos, so 10 in total, to present the contents of the poster in a different way. We managed to engage what we call SeeRRI sister projects, but not only. So there are also many other territories and other EU-funded projects, but not only, as I said. And we found all the experiences that the posters are showing and presenting very, very interesting. There are many stories that are displayed downstairs. So we really hope that you will enjoy all the posters, grab a coffee and walk around and ask to the presenters to explain what they summarized in the poster themselves. That's all from my side. Enjoy.
And if I may, that's a poster session over coffee, so coffee is waiting for you downstairs. And I would like to thank also Angela Santangelo. She hasn't said that.
Yeah.
She's been organizing the poster session. She's from the University of Bologna, and we are very thank you for the support and leading this process.
Yeah.
Thank you.